Do you ever just feel like a little kid? Like have you ever been talking to someone and you just like realize that they're like way cooler than you? You're almost like back in middle school. Does that make sense? Okay, for the record, if you don't know, if you haven't listened to the show or you don't know me at all, I'm 23. I'm like an adult. I'm an adult at this point. I don't know if like I'm at the age where my brain is like fully stopped developing, but if I'm not, I'm close. You know what I mean? I'm not like 16, 17. There's all the frontal lobe nonsense. Like I'm 23. I have a degree, one of hopefully two. Like I have my own apartment. I'm a human being. I'm an adult. I'm a man. I have taxes. I have bills. I'm an adult. And I swear to God, I went to go see Oasis the other day, best band of all time, at the Rose Bowl. It was my fifth Oasis concert. I don't want to talk about it. A lot of money spent, I'm aware. I know people that have been to more, so shut up. I don't want to hear about it. But it was my fifth Oasis show, and there was a guy there that I used to know back at Emerson. And I won't say his name, because if he's listening to this, he probably already thinks I'm a fucking loser. But he was 2 years above me in college, above me and Nick in college. We were in the same film fraternity that we all kind of bailed. I think he technically graduated under the fraternity, like he paid the dues all the way till the end, but we all knew that it kind of sucked. So we were all in it. That's how we met, and he's actually in the original River Fork. Again, I'm not gonna say who, because he probably already thinks I'm a big fucking weirdo. But anyway, he was at the show. So I went to the Oasis show, and I was like, dude, I gotta see this guy. It's been so long. And me and Nick were like the biggest fans of his and like his friend. Like we fucking worship these two. Like at the time, me and Nick were sophomores and they were seniors. So it was like, oh my God, these two are like future me and Nick. They like ran DKA. They were funny as shit. They were making cool films. They were winning awards. Like we just wanted to be them so bad. And then again, I'm 23 years old. I'm an adult man. I swear to God. But I go up to him and we start talking. And I'm like, fuck. He's still so cool. He's only 2 years older than I am. But he's been in LA. Like he's done all these actual like film sets. He's been a PA on stuff, and now he's like a production coordinator on these giant reality shows. And he just has like all these friends, and somehow the Oasis merch. I own the same exact merch, but it just looks cooler on him. And I swear I felt like a little kid talking to like my older brother's friend, and I'm like, yeah, like a little drool was coming out of my lip, like, yeah, keep telling me about your films. I just looked like such a fucking loser, dude. You probably thought I was the biggest weirdo of all time. I swear, I don't think that guy will ever speak to me again. I probably came across as such a freak. And he's not taller than I am, but it was one of those moments where, like, I felt like I was looking up to him. Like, it felt like he was, like, 6'10", and I was, like, 4'9", and I was looking up, like, do you got any advice for someone in film? Like, we're not that different apart in age or experience. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened, but is that just me? Please, if someone's listening to this and you're like, no, I've had that experience where you're talking to someone and they're just like, you think they're much cooler than you, so you just kind of resort to like this little brother mode, and it's so fucking awkward. I promise. If you're listening to this, the guy at the Rose Bowl show, I will not say your name for your own sake, but I swear to you, it was out of pure admiration. I think you're really cool. I swear to God, I think you're really cool. Anyway, welcome back to the show. All right, hey everybody. Hey everyone. Hello. Welcome back to Director in Development, the podcast that does not stop until I'm directing Avengers 9. Or maybe not Avengers 9, just any Marvel movie, non-specific. I'm not a picky man. Beggars can't be choosers, you know what I mean? But the podcast will not stop until you see a headline that says Matthew Pelton is directing Shang-Chi 2. Maybe not that one. I feel like that would be a little inappropriate if I was directing Shang-Chi 2. Maybe like Eternals. I could direct an Eternals sequel. Avengers would be really fun, not gonna lie. A Spider-Man, that would be a blast. Probably not a Blade. You know what's interesting about Blade? Before we get into the topic of today's episode, in one of my classes for LMU, as I'm sure most of you know at this point, when you go into a class for the first week, there's all these like fucking stupid icebreakers that we have to do. One, by the way, didn't know that is an American thing. This girl named Amy Wren, she does the score for all of the shorts we've done. I think I've mentioned her on the show before. She's done the score for Triptych, Toad, and Mama's Pie. She's from England. She's not from America. And when she came here for college, she goes to Berkeley. That's how we met, because Emerson's Boston, mutual friend kind of thing. It turns out that icebreaker shit, they don't do that like anywhere else in the world. That's just a U.S. thing. The stupid like, hey, give us your name and give a rosebud and thorn of your day. Or like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? What's your favorite color? Like, no one's gonna remember this shit. No one's gonna know. And you know what happens? I don't know if this happens to you, but you go around the circle and one person's like, hi, my name's Ashley. I like chocolate chip. And then they go like one by one by one. And the whole time you're sitting there and you're thinking like, fuck, okay, what is my favorite ice cream flavor? And you're like, do I say mint? And right as you think you should say mint, someone says mint. And you're like, fuck, well, they just said it. Doesn't mean I can't say it. But do I want to be put in the same category with that guy? Does that guy kind of seem like an asshole? Or maybe it's like, if it's someone cool, do I change my flavor? Or do I try to pick a flavor that makes me kind of stand out? Or do I just be honest? Like, it's probably just anxiety, but my anxiety brain starts fucking going a mile a minute on how I should answer the stupid question, especially the fun fact question. Oh, I hate that question. And then at film school, you'll get, like, what's your favorite movie? Which, by the way, that's an impossible question. It's a stupid question. Because to have one favorite movie is nearly impossible. To have 3 or 5 favorite movies is nearly impossible, especially in order. You go fuck yourself. So when a teacher's like, what's your favorite movie? I'm like, okay, what that really means, I have to spin a wheel in my head, and whatever I land on, out of like 10 possibilities, that's the movie I'm just going to say out loud. Because I don't have a number 1. But then the thing is, like, you might get nailed. For example, one of my favorite movies, Into the Wild. I love that movie. Had a huge impact on me as like a person, as a filmmaker. I went to Alaska. I had a whole spiritual revolution, baby. I love Into the Wild. But if I say Into the Wild, I know there's a lot of people, especially my age, that have read the book or watched the movie and didn't kind of get it. Like, they kind of think Christopher McCandless is just like an idiot. Like, that story doesn't really click with them. So if I say Into the Wild, you run the risk of like getting pushback, and they're like, ugh, like, why do you like that thing? And then you're stuck in a thing. And I'm like, I don't want to, I don't know you. I don't care. Like, I know that sounds mean, but like, I just met you. And if you're telling me that you think Christopher McCandless is stupid and like you think what he did was dumb, I don't really want to know why you think that. Maybe later we can have this conversation. But in the middle of a room of 20 strangers and everyone's just staring at you while you're trying to defend your favorite movie, that fucking sucks. So like, okay, maybe don't bring up Into the Wild. Like, okay, what else can I bring up? The Way, Way Back's a big one. Not a lot of people know what that movie is, though. And sometimes someone will be like, what's your favorite movie? And they're like, Godfather Part 2. And the professor's like, oh, I think Part 1 is better. And then it becomes a whole conversation. And you're like, okay, well, that person now stands out in the professor's mind. Like, he's going to remember that person. So if I drop a movie he's never heard of, then I'm just going to be like some background student. You know what I mean? I got to pick something that's going to like blow his fucking head off. So I'm like, okay, there goes The Way, Way Back. I'm like, all right, I also love Jojo Rabbit. I'll pick Jojo Rabbit. That's a great choice. Who doesn't like Jojo Rabbit? Uh-oh, turns out a lot of people don't like Jojo Rabbit. Some people find that movie very offensive. I didn't know that until I went to Emerson, because I went around the world for like 2 or 3 years being like, Jojo Rabbit, Jojo Rabbit, Jojo Rabbit. I'm putting it out to the public right now. Hope this doesn't get me canceled. And when I went to Emerson, luckily I didn't say it, but in class someone brought up Jojo Rabbit, and then half the class was like, oh, I hate that movie. It makes fun of like Nazis and stuff and has themes of Jewishness in World War II. And a lot of people like just took it the wrong way and just hate that movie, and they think it's anti-Semitic. So I'm like, well, I can't say Jojo Rabbit. I'm not a Jewish man. Who am I to say Jojo Rabbit? So there goes that. I'm now 0 for 3 in my top 3. So I'm like, okay, what's 4th? Dead Poets Society. That's such an easy pick. That is such an easy pick. There's nothing wrong with that movie. But you know what happens? I swear to God, this semester especially, and this is all getting to a point, I promise, but this semester, I've had 4 classes, and all four without a fucking failure. They go, okay, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your favorite movie? Shocker. So I'm like, I'm Matthew Pelton. I'm from South Jersey. And I always say New Jersey. They're like, where? And I'm like, South. And they're like, where? And I'm like, they're not gonna know. And I'm like, Palmyra. And they're like, I don't know where that is. I'm like, yeah, no, no shit. And they're like, yeah, I used to work like in the city. And I'm like, yeah, that's nowhere near South Jersey at all. And then favorite movie, I'll say Dead Poets. And I don't know, this blew me away because Dead Poets is a big movie, man. That's a pretty big movie. I think it's an Oscar winner. If it's not, I think it's Oscar nominated. But if you look up like Robin Williams, best movies of all time, you look up best movies of all time in general, it's usually on the list. But all 4 of my professors this year, all 4 are like, never seen it. And they move on to the next student. I'm like, God damn it. There goes me standing out to anyone. I'm just some dude from Jersey, they don't know where in Jersey, who loves a movie they've heard of but never seen. I fucked it up. So maybe I should have gone Into the Wild. Maybe you go controversial instead. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that has this problem. Maybe everyone else in the class just says their favorite movie and moves on like a normal human being. I don't know. But anyway, the reason I'm even bringing this up is in one of my classes, my directing the short, what's it called? Directing the something. It's a directing class. It's a production level 500 class at LMU. We go in and we have to say our favorite movies. And one of the questions was like, why are you here? Like, what do you want to do? Like in terms of filmmaking. Now, obviously that answer might change as you go further down LMU, but hey, first semester, first week, what do you got? So a lot of people are like producer. Most people said director, including myself. And then the guy next to me, this motherfucker, he shows up like 15 to 20 minutes late to class. He walks in, sweating, out of breath. It looks like he sprinted here. I have no idea what happened, how he got there so late. I don't know if he ran from his house. I don't know what was going on. But he comes in like, he sits down. And for like 10 minutes, this guy is just not calming down. Like he's just still sweating. He's still breathing. Like his body won't like go back to normal. I'm like, dude, are you okay? And we're doing these introductions and he's like right in my ear. So I can't really hear anyone besides just loud breath. It feels like I'm at the fucking Oasis concert with this guy with my older brother who thinks I'm a fucking loser. But anyway, it goes to my turn. I drop Dead Poets. He's never seen the movie. I say South Jersey. He's only been to North Jersey, so he has no idea where I am. I'm like, great, that went super well. And then it moves on to this dude. And I'm like, okay, I'm so excited to know what's going on with this guy. So he introduces himself. I forget his name. And he says where he's from. I also forget that. But it gets to, what do you want to do? And this motherfucker, I swear, I right hand to God, he said, I want to direct, and I want to direct a Marvel movie. Specifically, I want to direct Blade. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, you just stole my whole show. I'm like, I do a whole podcast about how I want to direct a Marvel movie, and that was your fucking answer? What? That's so fucked up. And he said he wanted to direct Blade, and then before the professor could even say anything, the guy goes, I think that's why the movie keeps being delayed. It's because the universe is waiting for me to do it. It's waiting for me. And I had a moment where half of me was like, this guy's awesome. I'm like, that guy's fucking awesome. Good for him. He knows what he wants. He's like, it keeps delaying it so I can get there. And he's going to get there as fast as he can. Probably why he ran to class. He's getting there as fast as he can. He's out of breath. But the other half was like, this guy's fucking insane. And most of the class shot him a look like he was insane. I was like, oh, this is probably how people would look at me if they knew I had a show that did this. They think this guy's insane. I make a whole fucking podcast about how I want to direct a Marvel movie. This guy just said it once in a classroom, and everyone thinks he's like the freak of the classroom. Oh my God, I fucking put my hood up and I slid back in my chair. I didn't say a single thing the rest of that class. That was fucking frightening. But anyway, point of the story is I met the director of Blade today. That's exactly what happened. I totally met the director of Blade, and he met the director of Avengers 9. We happened to have the same exact class. Isn't that crazy? So, actually, getting into the topic of today's episode, making award winning shorts on a student budget, which, by the way, is an incredibly hard thing to do because nobody wants to finance a short film. It sucks, but it's true. When it comes to feature length movies, investors, not that they're easy to find, but a lot of people want to invest in feature length movies because there's obviously a greater return in investment. You can sell a feature length movie. You can put it in theaters. You can find a distributor. You can sell it to streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus. I was going to say Paramount Plus, but nobody watches that one. But you get my point. You can sell that to many, many things. Short films? That's like YouTube, Vimeo, in what? That's kind of it, right? Maybe short film verse if you're like a big fucking nerd. That's like my short films live on all three of those. You can go to Short Films Matter for reviews. Again, my stuff is reviewed on there, but that's if you're like seeking out short film content. If you're not, I don't think most people have even watched a short film in their life. Most people do not go out seeking short films, so it's hard to finance a short film. It's a tough thing to do. So, if you're a film student and you're in a beautiful film school and you're like, I want to make a short film, but I have no money and I have a cool idea, how the fuck do I do this? Don't worry, I'm here to help. Starting with your script. Now, if you have an idea and you're starting to write a script, keep the budget in mind. Please, I am begging you. Don't put Godzilla in your script. I know it's tempting. It would be so cool to put Godzilla or some crazy shit in your script. I've done it many times. But you gotta keep your budget in mind. Most student scripts or most student shorts are probably gonna have a budget of around like 1,500, 2,000. I've seen some lucky enough to go to like $3,000, $4,000, but that is really pushing it. So you gotta keep that in mind when you're making your story, which means you're gonna have not a ton of characters. If your script has more than 4 or 5 characters, that's a challenge. You need to find actors. If your script has older characters that aren't college students, you might need to start paying people. You might start paying actors to play these roles. There goes part of your budget. If you have a lot of locations, you might have to pay for location permits. You might have to pay for the equipment to be used on these locations. There goes part of your budget. You got to keep these things in mind. If you don't have a lot of locations and you don't have a lot of characters, much easier to make, especially if you make the whole thing on campus. If you have a scene that's just in some knucklehead's bedroom, use your dorm room. It's free. So when you're writing, you have to keep budget in mind. It's a tough thing because, listen, I'm a writer. I'm very much the creative guy. And Nick, God bless his soul, is more the producer guy. He's like money and boring shit. I'm like creative, fun stuff. No offense to him. I love him to death. So when you're writing stuff, you don't want to be thinking about logistics and money and all that nonsense. But sometimes you do have to keep it in mind. And I will say there is something to be said about creativity with sort of limitations and having to work around those limitations. Like, you will often see examples of artists or directors or screenwriters who have essentially a blank check. They have unlimited creativity. A studio will literally just write them a blank check and say, go make whatever the hell you want. There's no restrictions, and they kind of make something that's not the greatest because there's no restrictions whatsoever. When you kind of have a set of rules and you have to get creative around those rules, that can often lead to something more creative than the original idea. So if you're writing something, you have this big grand idea for a 20-minute short film, it's gonna blow people's fucking minds, it's gonna change the world. But you gotta remember, you're probably only going to have $1,500 to do it. Because of that, you're going to have to change your story around the money. There's a very good chance that your new story might be even better than the story before because you're going to have to change it for the money. So when you're writing, it's very, very important to just remember in the back of your mind, hey, I'm not going to have a lot of money, so I should not have a lot of characters. I shouldn't have a location, and it shouldn't be very long. Now, this is gonna break a lot of people's hearts, but I am begging you, if you are in college, please don't make a feature-length movie. Just don't do it. I cannot tell you the amount of times people have sent me a feature-length script, and they're like, hey, what do you think? Now, for the record, I've read some great feature-length scripts. A lot of really talented writers I know that have sent me some great work. But the problem is, if a short film that's like 20 minutes, you can make for like $2,000. I can't even fathom how much it would cost to make a feature length that's like 2 hours. Like, you need to raise a shitload of cash at this level. There's just no way. And let's say you even somehow you raise all that capital, right? Let's say you raise all that money, because again, it's a feature length, so maybe there's a better chance on a return on investment. So it's a better pitch to people. When you're in college, almost everything you make as a student filmmaker kind of has like a student vibe, and that's okay. My work does too. I'm guilty of it. If you watch any of my short films, they don't feel like industry films. Like, they don't feel like Paramount made it or like Sony made it. It feels like a student short film. And that's okay when it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But if it's over 25, that kind of amateur feeling starts to kind of grate on people. It has a wear and tear effect. River Fork, for example. River Fork is 35 minutes long. That is way too long for what that movie is. That movie should be 20, 25 max. That thing needs to be trimmed down immediately. When it has that amateur feeling, the story could be excellent, the characters could be brilliant, the dialogue could be the greatest dialogue ever written. If it feels like a student project, people are not going to want to stick around for an hour and 40. So even if you get all the money and somehow you line up all these people's availability, you get a whole cast and crew full of students who are willing to do it for free, who all happen to be free for weeks and weeks and weeks. Not a lot of people are going to watch an hour 40 of a student project. No one's going to want to do that. So just don't do it. If you're making movies for people to watch them, no one's going to want to watch it. Not yet. If it's a brilliant script, just save it. Just keep it in a desk drawer and save it, and you can pitch it to a studio one day, and you can sell it for a couple $1 million. But just wait. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. Just wait. The perfect example I can give you of keeping budget in mind while writing is when I was writing Psychedelic Toad. There's one scene in the movie where the main two, Sean and Lisa, I think that's their names. It's been a while since I watched it. But the main two characters, Sean and Lisa, are talking, and they're on a couch, and the whole room is upside down. The way the scene is currently is it's in a location we've used previously in the movie. So we had that location for one day, but we knocked out like 3 scenes in that one location. So instead of having those 3 scenes set in all different locations, we just knocked them all out. One day, we had the location for free, and it was like half of the movie was all in one location. It was so easy. It was beautiful. And 2, originally that was not the intention for that scene. The original intention for that scene was Sean and Lisa were outside on the streets of Boston, which is already much tougher because you have people walking by that you can't control. So if they fuck with your equipment, if they look into the camera, if they make a bunch of noise, you're fucked. Nothing you can do about it. You have cars going by. You just have to pray and hope that they're not going to honk. They're not going to say anything. They're not playing music. If they do, you have to cut. You have to restart. Could be a long-ass shooting day. And during the scene, this was so crazy looking back. But we were going to have, like, let's say it's a close-up of Sean. It's going to be a close-up of Sean talking. It's going to be him walking down the streets of Boston. It's going to be like a beautiful sunny day, right? And he's going to have, like, let's say it's like a linen button-up and, like, khaki shorts, whatever. And it was going to cut to Lisa, and it was going to be, like, raining. And she has, like, a parka on, and she has, like, the hood up. And then it's going to cut back to Sean, and it was, like, snowing. And he has, like, a big winter coat. It's going to cut back to her, and it was, like, fall. And there's, like, orange and red leaves on the trees. And, like, it would have been really cool to have, like, every time it cuts back, the seasons are changing. So the implications, like, how many times have they had this conversation? Like, they've had this over and over again. Do you get it? But oh my God, like, the logistics of shooting that's a year of shooting. Obviously, not continuously, but that would have taken a full calendar year to shoot that fucking thing. So I think I gave the script to Nick, and he got to that scene. He was like, "You can go fuck yourself." He's like, "There's no way we're shooting that. Are you out of your mind?" So I then went back to the drawing board. I was like, what if we just turn the room upside down and just have all the dialogue overlay on top of each other? And it kind of implies the same thing, that they've had this conversation many times. And there you go. It was much cheaper, same location as other scenes, and we got to do it for like $0 instead of a full year of shooting with renting the equipment multiple times, praying that people in cars were okay. It would have just been a disaster. So that was one where I didn't think of budget. I was in pure creative mode. And God bless Nick being my partner. He took me back down to reality, and he's like, "You're a fucking idiot." And I kind of was being an idiot. But one day, I promise, maybe Avengers 9, there will be a scene where two people are talking, and every time it cuts back, the season changes. That'd be kind of cool. Just saying. Maybe you'll see it soon.
Hello, my name is Jenna Reilly. I'm a writer, director, and freelance filmmaker. I've written and directed a couple of projects, but most notably my short film Nowhere to Turn, which I made at Emerson through EIV. And my thesis film at Emerson was a comedy pilot called Tomboys. I love telling underrepresented stories, a lot to do with queerness, the female perspective, and mental health awareness. I'm currently working in LA as a freelance filmmaker, so I do like gaffing, grip and electric, assistant directing, and production assistant work. So got to make that bag, but it's been a good time in LA so far. I've luckily been able to get a decent amount of work, which I've been very fortunate about. Yeah, I've worked on a couple of things freelance wise. I've worked on a couple of narrative documentary stuff. I worked on a Disneyland commercial, which was high key my biggest accomplishment. I gripped it, but I had a great time. Like, oh my God, I loved it. And a couple of other things here and there coming up. But yeah, I know Matthew Pelton through mutual friends, honestly. So a project that I wrote and directed on a student budget, I'll talk about Tomboys, which was the comedy pilot. It was an ensemble comedy about a queer friend group in college, kind of living their lives, figuring out how to live happily. I feel like a lot of media, popularly about queerness, kind of depicts the sad stuff, the stuff that the negative the negative impacts of being in a group such as that. But at the same time, I feel like we all have to learn to live our lives and enjoy it. And I know that's for sure. That's what I went through that in college. I kind of found my people and found Emerson was a very queer school, so I definitely found my queer bubble, and it really kind of brought me back to life in a way, especially coming out of COVID. It taught me how to live as myself and kind of like learn to live that happy way. So I wanted to kind of make a comedy about that because I feel like there weren't a lot of, there's not a lot of comedies that depict that, and I know I could have used that in high school for sure. But yeah, so the low budget, keeping a low budget in mind, I don't remember for sure how much it cost us to make Tomboys. I feel like it was maybe like 1500 or 2000, maybe like 1500. Um, and that's not, I didn't submit it to festivals or anything yet. I think I'm gonna, we'll see. But so that, festivals can eat up money too. But I think it was about 1500. Yeah. So I think I kept it in mind specifically at the beginning of the writing process because I had made a short film before called No Return, and it was pretty realistic in making it. But I knew with Tomboys, I really wanted to focus on performance on this. I feel like I wanted to use a lot of my time focusing on rehearsals and focusing on um like on my on-set time on performance since it's comedy and I hadn't done comedy before. So I knew I wanted to make everything else pretty easy, like the production side of it, like the producing side of it. So when I was writing it, I thought, I mean, I knew I wanted it to be about a college group of people, but I thought I was like, okay, what resources do I have that allow me to make the most of what I can put on the screen? So I just thought about what resources I had at Emerson, and those resources were like, oh, I worked at a TV studio. Why, how about one of the characters works at a TV studio and we can put that in there? So I put that in there. Maybe they live in like a normal apartment as someone would and just like in college, like they don't live at a house. That would be kind of difficult for us to find a house in Boston that wouldn't cost money. So okay, how about we do an apartment so I can film at my apartment? Stuff like that. Like, oh, let's have them go to a screening. How about their art students? They work on stuff like that. They work at a TV studio. They work at a they work at a TV studio. They have a screening room they go to for a premiere of a film, like all stuff that Emerson kids normally do, what I do, what me and my friends do. So it allowed it to be like realistic and close to home while also working with the resources that I had, where everything became slightly easier because I was able to use what I had at my fingertips, which was it made it much more easier. And then we didn't have to spend a lot of money on locations. I don't think we had to spend the money on locations at all. So that was pretty great.
Now, you have a script. You remembered not to put in Godzilla, even though it's really tempting. And I may or may not have written a couple scripts in Godzilla. It's fine. Just actually, this is something I've done before. I'll be writing a script, and if I get stuck and I have writer's block, I'll just put like Godzilla shows up and kills everyone, and I'll just put the end, and then I'll just close my computer and I'll let it sit for like a couple days, and I'll open it. And I'm like, oh yeah, where'd I leave off? And I'm like, oh right, Godzilla showed up and killed everyone. And then I'll delete that and start over again. Then I get stuck, and I'm like, fuck it, Godzilla comes and kills everyone. I hate these characters, and then close it, and it's just back and forth, back and forth. But you can't have Godzilla. Sorry to say it. You can't have RDJ show up yet. Avengers 9. Don't forget Avengers 9. But you have a script. You kept budget in mind. Now again, this is for a film school student. This is the best part. Is you have a small budget, right? One, where do you get the money? What I find has worked best for us, as in Quaywood Productions, is for River Fork Triptych, Psychedelic Toad, and Your Mama's Pie, we have done fundraisers. We've crowdfunded. Crowdfunding, it can be tough because one, you have to have a cast and crew before you crowdfund, and I'll tell you why in a second. But two, you have to know your budget obviously before you make the fundraiser. You can't just make a fundraiser and be like, hey, whatever I get, that's the fundraiser, like that's the budget. No, 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 no. You got to go in being like, we need like $3,000 to make this movie exactly, and then you ask for 3,000. Now, you want to have a full cast and crew before the fundraiser, not after the fundraiser, because if you're fully cast and crewed when the fundraiser goes live, you can shoot that fundraiser link to every single cast and crew member and be like, hey, can you please send this link to every single family member you have and every single friend you have? If you've ever even fucking interacted with someone, send them this link. So instead of, hey, I have this script, let me make a fundraiser and then I'll cast and crew it, and I'm just sending it to like my mom and dad and my uncle, I'm sending it to 7 people, let's say. If I have a cast and crew, let's say it's like a 2-person cast, it's small, 2 characters. Let's say it's only a 5-person crew, right? Let's say it's a small crew. You got a director, 2 sound people, a cinematographer, and like an AC or whatever. You got 5. Just like the not even a PA, nothing. Just the essentials. You have a 5-person crew, 2 cast. You now have 7 people. Let's say I'm going to send the GoFundMe to 5 people. If I was not cast and crewed, only 5 people were getting that link. Chances of getting $3,000 from 5 people? Maybe. Maybe. If you have a rich ass uncle, maybe. If you got someone that's really in your goddamn corner that's willing to drop 3 to 4 to 5 grand for your short film, fuck yeah, dude. But if you don't, like most people, if you have 7 people, now all of a sudden you're reaching out to 35 people instead of 5. And that's for a very small cast and crew. Most cast and crews you work with are not going to be that small. So if you all have them, and that's 5. Most people can think of more than 5 people to send a GoFundMe link to. You can probably think of 10 if you really sit down and think about it. So if you're going to do a GoFundMe, if that's how you're going to get your money, get cast and crewed first. I will say also, a lot of film schools, if you're making the project with the school, as in through a school program or through like a group or some stupid shit like that, a lot of the time the school will provide a budget or will provide funds for your short film. Even then, though, I know sometimes the budget they provide usually isn't a ton. All the stuff I've done has been fully independent from Emerson because I just didn't want to like do all the Emerson red tape kind of stuff. I was like, I'd rather just figure it out on my own. So we just kind of raised the money we needed, and we kind of got cast and crew. Then we just sent it out, and we didn't really have a lot of trouble raising money. So if you get a good cast and crew, just get on your hands and knees and beg. Just beg them to send it to as many people as possible. That's how you get your budget. And you gotta know the number, man. Yeah, you really gotta know the number. If you go in and your number fluctuates, or you have too little, and you end up having to ask more down the road, it looks very amateur. And then moving forward, not a lot of people are going to trust you with their money because of it. Not a lot of people are going to want to donate to your next short film because you've kind of mishandled the funds of the last short film. So you got to be really careful. If someone's going to donate to your short film, make sure you keep them updated with the production, with the post-production. Keep them updated on all the process of the short film. Keep them updated on where their money's going. That's the biggest one that even I fucked up. I'm like, hey, just so you know, you just gave us like $200. That like we just got like a bunch of costumes for that. Like you specifically like helped us with this area of the movie. Thank you. Put their name in the credit. Give them a special thanks. Put the special thanks on IMDb. Like make them feel special for doing it. You know what I mean? Make it feel like it's a big deal. Don't just be like, hey, I need money for my short film. Thanks, and then go fuck off and make the film. No, keep them in the loop. Make them feel like a part of the process. They're going to want to give you more money in the future if they feel like they're part of the journey that you're taking.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is like remembering that at the end of the day, it's not about like how much money you spend. I think like going back to the bare bones of filmmaking, which is like for me at least, like when I was a kid, like you would just like take a camcorder and go make a skit with your friend, and that would be it. Like you would be able to make it. Like all you need is a story, truthfully. So I think a lot of people probably get like I think a lot of people get caught up in kind of the look of the film, or like you need these lenses or you need this location, otherwise it's, or you need this song from this huge popular artist that's going to cost thousands of dollars to get. But I think, and I totally understand that, and I think it's great if you're able to do that with the resources that you have. But I knew I didn't have that, I still don't have that. So it's like, what can I do with the resources I have? Wait a minute, it's just storytelling. I'm telling a story. So what story can I tell that allows me to work with what I have and just really emphasize the story, like, but I don't think you should limit yourself to that either. I think that goes into like my tips. Um, Start with what you have and see from there, but also don't limit yourself too heavily based on that. I found myself like when I was writing, I would turn off the writer's brain and turn on the producer brain and be like, well, we would have to get that then. Oh man. And I also am just an anxious person, and I would kind of overthink it in terms of like, oh no, we have to get that. And then my amazing producer, producing partner, executive producer, Haley Gablesberg, Haley would just be like, that's easy. We can do that. Like, and I'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. So, it's all in my head sometimes too, and it can be all in your head. So it's good to have people with you as well that can really help you out, such as Haley. She's amazing. Shout out Haley. But don't limit yourself too heavily. Um, I think like you need to be a little courageous here and there. Like, say you really need a library, and which isn't too hard. Okay, say you really need it's not too hard to find a library. Okay, I'll say a library. Say you need a library. All the libraries you find can only like the cheapest one is like, oh, we'll let you film on location for like $100. And say your solo budget that you're like, I don't even have $100 to film there. You could even like haggle with them a little bit. You could say like, oh, can we do 50? Or, oh, how about we film content for your library? Or, oh, how about we, use what you have to your advantage too? Like, say you're a photographer, it's like, well, how about we take promo photos for your library? So you can put that on your website. So that allows us to film in there, kind of like a little barter system, just kind of get creative with it, I would say. So don't limit yourself on what you write, but also don't write a script that requires like a live elephant, and you can't pay thousands of dollars to have a live elephant, like don't, so, there's like, there's some spot in the middle that keeps it realistic in the beginning, and then you just kind of go from there and have fun.
Okay, so you have a script. You kept the budget in mind when you wrote the script. So you cut out Doctor Doom and Iron Man and Hulk fighting Godzilla, which would be sick. I know, I'm sorry. and then you raised a bunch of money, you have a rich uncle, and you had your whole sound department reach out to all their family, you had your cast reach out to their family, you got all this money, you have a whole cast and crew. Equipment, you probably just rented the equipment through your school. That's probably the easiest way to do it, by the way. Real quick thing about equipment. Again, easiest way to do it is just rent it through your school. A lot of schools are like, hey, you can only rent equipment for classes. Wink, wink. There's easy ways around that. I shouldn't be saying that. There's very easy ways around that. Usually, you can find a professor that's pretty chill about it, and he'd be like, yeah, man, go get a camera. You can say it's for a class project. It's fine. And just go shoot your shit. Also, you got to remember, especially when it comes to student stuff, is one, not everyone is expecting it to look the best. So you don't have to worry about trying to get like this like Disney look, like this cinema look. You know what I mean? I want it to look so professional. I want to shoot it in 6K. You don't necessarily have to do that. I used to get caught up in that all the time. I want to look professional. I want to feel like a movie. At this level, the main thing you should be focusing on is your story and your characters. If your story and your characters and your themes work, everything else is just extra. Who gives a shit? If the movie looks terrible, but your story rocks, then you have a great movie. People are going to watch your short and be like, wow, that was really good. Like, you could tell they really took time and there was a lot of care into that. Now, if your movie looks fantastic, it looks like fucking Avengers 9. It looks pristine. It looks like a real movie. But your story is just garbage. It just falls apart. And your characters are bad. And thematically, nothing makes sense. People are not going to walk away being like, wow, that was a really good looking movie. No, they're going to walk away being like, that movie sucked. That movie just sucked. So before you get into all the nuts and bolts of trying to make everything look nice and sound nice, make sure you have your basic story down first. Don't get too excited. Your story is the most important aspect of anything you do. Unless you're doing avant-garde shit, then knock yourself out. But in terms of like narrative, man, just focus on your story. That's the biggest takeaway I got from all my professors. That's the biggest takeaway I got from 4 years at film school and doing short films. Make sure you have your basic story down. I cannot emphasize that enough. Fuck the camera. Fuck the lenses. Fuck the equipment. Fuck the equipment. If I could put that on a t-shirt, I would. Fuck the equipment. No offense to my camera department. I love you guys. But make sure your story is good before you do anything else. Now, if your story is good, one, whatever equipment is available to you, use that. If you don't have the budget to get better equipment, don't not make your short because of it. You should rather shoot a short, even if you have to shoot it on a fucking iPhone. You should walk away with something shot. Even if it looks shitty, but it comes together and it kind of makes a nice story. If you walk away with that, it's better than walking away with nothing because you couldn't get some fucking cine lenses or something. Go shoot your movie. Shoot it with whatever you can. If your friend has a camera, use his camera. If he doesn't have a camera, use your iPhone. If your dad has an old fucking VHS camcorder, go use that. Use whatever resources you can, including your school. Also, a big trick, if you do kind of care about making your stuff look pretty nice, and if your story's good, remember that first. But if your story's pretty good and you want to move on, the actual camera itself, it matters, yes, not a ton. Not a ton. The lens choice matters a lot. What you do with it, like the camera movement, the angle, and the actual lenses. That's really what makes everything look nice. You could have a kind of like a shitty Sony camera, but if you have cine lenses and you're like really good at what you're doing and you have these beautiful camera movements and everything's kind of working with you, your shot's going to be stunning. And you could have a Blackmagic 6K, or you could even have like an ARRI camera, which they shoot like real movies on. But if you kind of have like a crappy lens or you've never used one before, it's still going to feel like a student film. There's not much you can do about that. You know, if you don't have the experience, you don't have the experience. It doesn't matter what camera body you have. So the lens choice is really where it matters. So if you're going to incorporate equipment into your budget, like if you're not just going to use like your film school equipment or whatever equipment you have available to you, I would put the most emphasis on lenses and lighting. Lenses and lighting are the two big ones to make your stuff look really good. You can always build a rig around a camera. You know what I mean? A lens is a lens. You can't really build a rig around a lens. You can build a rig around a camera. That's a fucking tongue twister. Try saying that 10 times fast. But anyway, now you have your equipment. You go shoot your movie. Don't do too many locations, by the way. Only do like one or two locations. Don't go fucking crazy. Don't try to do Boston when it's snowing and raining and sunshiny and fall all in one calendar year, because that's a fucking mistake. And you have your movie. Now you have to edit it. What the fuck do you do? So one, again, a lot of film schools offer editing software. Premiere, if you want to be fucking bold and try Avid. I don't know if a lot of film schools like Emerson didn't offer Avid, at least at home. If like it was one of those where if you went to their editing labs, they had Avid available, but they wouldn't let you have Avid on like your own personal computer or desktop or laptop or whatever. But they'd let you have Premiere. So I think a lot of students use Premiere. But LMU, they're very hard set on Avid, because Avid's like, if you don't know, Avid's like the industry standard. Like Premiere, a lot of big movies aren't really edited on Premiere anymore. You occasionally will have one or two, but most movies are edited using Avid these days. So a lot of schools are kind of transitioning towards Avid instead of Premiere, which in my opinion is kind of a bummer because I think Premiere fucking rocks. But anyway, whatever system you have, just use it. You don't have to be like, if you have Premiere, if you have Final Cut. Remember, DaVinci Resolve, by the way, it's a free editing software. It's a great editing software. It's not all the features are there because they want you to pay for their like actual subscription. But there is a free version, and it's fucking excellent. And you can use that to edit as well. You can also color grade with DaVinci Resolve for free. So you have no excuse. There's free stuff, and your school probably will provide stuff. So again, just use what you have available. And when it comes to all your kind of post-production people, like your music, your visual effects, your color people, this one can be kind of tricky, to be fully honest. Visual effects and color can be very hard to find. Emerson, I got very lucky because there's a very magnificent person named Z Rykid, and they rock. And we found them actually because of the guy that I saw at the Rose Bowl at the Oasis show. I think his friend had worked with them on a project, and we were looking for a visual effects person. And man, just no one at Emerson does visual effects. You just couldn't find them anywhere. And finally, we found one. There was like one person at Emerson who did visual effects. So I just latched onto them like a lunatic. And that every single project I do, they're like my first call. I'm like, hey, can you do color and visual effects? And they're like, oh, yeah, just fucking send me the thing. And I'm like, thank you. So they can be tough to come across. So that's one. You just kind of ask around, try to find somebody. There is always websites like Fiverr, if you don't know what that is. That's like a freelance website. You can plug in like, hey, I need visual effects. And there's a bunch of visual effects artists up there who you can reach out to and be like, hey, I need this done and this done. They can give you a quote. I would always say you're a student. Sometimes they're pretty nice about it. Like, let's say they would charge you like $200. I'll often pull the card of like, I'm a broke ass college student and I'm just trying to make this, please. And they're like, all right, I'll do it for $150. I'm like, fuck yeah. So reach out, use the student card. If you really can't find anyone, that's always an option. Fiverr kind of sucks, but something to incorporate in your budget. If you don't know anyone going into your project and you know you're gonna have big color stuff, like if you can't do color yourself, big visual effects. Again, if you can't do visual effects yourself, make sure you have someone. And if you don't, get a quote. I would even get a quote before you start making the movie. Incorporate that into your budget. Reach out to this guy and be like, hey, we're shooting a thing in like 2 months. I have this scene and this scene. How much do you think that would cost? You just got to get to know people, network around. It's the same thing with casting and crewing. All your post-production people are probably going to be your classmates. Fiverr will probably not get used a ton, but it might. But it'll mostly be your classmates, and you just got to ask around. You just got to network. You just got to get to know people, get to know who they know. Just start calling in as many favors as you fucking can, because that's what it's going to take to get this done.
But yeah, just remember that the final product is the film, and then like I guess whatever money you have, like put it on the screen. You know what I mean? I think that's important. I had a professor who told me that, um, where she said that like production value is what, what goes into the film. what makes the film worth watching to audiences, what enhances the story. Um, beyond the necessary things like food and stuff, which I think is, to me, is number one priority, is spending money on food for cast and crew. I think a happy cast and crew makes a happy production and a good production. We're all humans, first off. So honestly, whenever I do a budget, food is first. That is like, okay, we need the minimum amount of money to pay for everyone for lunch. But that's also something I did for Tomboys is we filmed at the school for like I think a day we filmed it, or 2 days we filmed at the school. So then for those 2 days we used people's meal, the meal plans for the dining hall, and we would get everyone into the dining hall so they could kind of get whatever they wanted, because a lot of some of our cast and crew had meal plan, but some of them didn't, and I didn't at the time because I lived off campus. Or did I don't know. But yeah, so that we saved money on that, so that worked out. But I think food is the most important, honestly, to spend money on. But beyond that, if you have money, put it on the screen. I think that's important to enhance the story, because at the end of the day, it's a story. You know what I mean? That's what's most important. Yeah, I think that's kind of my biggest thing. But knowing your resources, working them to your advantage, and let everything on the screen shine.
So, you've done everything for cheap. Done everything for cheap. You wrote it cheap. You got cast and crew for free. You got most of your equipment for free. Maybe you rented a couple lenses. Good for you. You shot it in only one or two locations. Good man. You got it colored. You got visual effects. You got it all scored up, hopefully for free. Maybe you had to use a little Fiverr, but you knew how much you needed to spend before you went in because you're fucking smart and you prepped and you listened to me yell at you for an hour to make sure you did it for some reason. Good for you. Now, you want to submit the fucking thing to film festivals. You want to send it out. You want to get it seen. Film festivals are expensive. Gotta be smart with film festivals. If you don't know, when you submit to a film festival, there's one, usually a student section / student discount. If you're a student, I know on the trophy it doesn't look as cool. A trophy looks cooler that says best director instead of best student director. I often think that, and I'm like, God damn it, I want to do like best indie short instead of like best student indie short. But best indie short, the submission's like $60, and best student indie short, the submission's like $40. So kind of to suck it up and do the student submission. It is way cheaper. And the earlier you do film festivals, usually the cheaper it is. So you have like an early bird special and stuff like that. So you can sometimes a submission that would usually cost 60, you can get for like 35 if you're a student and you get it in super early. So that's one where pick out your film festivals early. Make sure you know your deadlines ahead of time. Make sure you know your early deadlines, how much they should cost you. Look at how many submissions you want to choose and choose wisely. Do not submit for like 20 different things, and don't always submit for the big ones. We always made that mistake. Triptych, we just submitted for like best student short film for like 10 of them. And of course, we only won like one because that we went for like the biggest category. When really, Triptych's like a weird experimental thing. We should have done like more niche categories, like and more niche film festivals. We screwed that up. We kind of wasted money there. So choose your categories wisely. Make sure your project fits the category. Don't go for the biggest one just to get the biggest one. And make sure you do student. It's gonna hurt. I know. Trust me. But do student and get it in early. And also, do not release it before the film festival. We fucked that up so bad. For all 4 of our short films, we have done the film festival run, and 3 of them have been very successful. The only one that was not was River Fork Community College. Fucking tanked at all of the film festivals. And we had no idea why. And it's because we applied for all these film festivals, but already put the movie out on YouTube. So no film festival wanted to take it because the movie was already out. Like if your movie gets into a film festival, they screen it. They want to premiere it. They want to show it. But for movies on YouTube, everyone can already see the fucking thing. So nobody is going to want to accept, if they like it. Let's say your movie should have won that category or at least should have been nominated. No one's going to want it if anyone can just go on YouTube and watch it. Because then why would you go to the theater and pay this fucking company if you can just be at home? So don't upload your movie to YouTube or Vimeo before you do film festivals. Which I know it sucks because some film festivals take a while. But do the whole film festival run, collect your beautiful accolades, collect your trophies, congratulations, and then when it's all said and done, you have all your laurels, all your little medals, all your stuff. You can throw it on YouTube and you call it a day. And that is how you make an award winning short with a student budget, as in you have a couple pennies. That's really all you got.
I guess my advice for any young filmmakers making their own student budget projects, I guess a lot of what I was saying, like be courageous in your choices. You can follow the vision, but remember your limitations in terms of budget. But at the same time, like I think you can also get really creative with it. I had my um, BA, my thesis, my senior thesis professor that I made Tomboys with. I wanted to film in a library for Tomboys, but I didn't, it would take a whole day to bring everything to a library off campus because, you have to bring equipment, you have to bring everything over to that area. So that costs a ton of money. So I thought I was like, why don't I just want to film in the Emerson Library? But they don't allow people to film in there because everyone would be filming in there at all times. Um, so my professor, Professor John G. Benito, I love him so much. He he was so helpful in this process, but he was primarily a documentary filmmaker for most of his career. He said he was like, just do it guerrilla. So like guerrilla style, meaning like you have no permission to be there at all. You just do it, and hopefully you don't get caught. And I was like, oh, honestly, yeah. Like, why don't I do that? Like, because I feel like a lot of people can just do that. When it comes to student films because like who cares, at the same time like it could be it could be like I don't know, it could be a very great product. I mean, it could be a very great film, it could be an incredible story, it could be an incredible everything, but like sometimes there's a certain level where like no one's gonna really come after you if you do that. If you film in this random library and run away, like who's gonna come after you? The library? That would be so much time and effort. So no worries. So honestly, like film a gorilla. Do what you can. Just like kind of go as far as you can, like obviously without doing anything illegal. Like, well, actually, is that illegal? I don't know. Maybe in LA. Permits are actually no, I've filmed on projects without permits here. But yeah, just kind of like film gorilla here and there. Be courageous. Do something like different. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have the resources at your fingertips, like sometimes that's to your advantage, in a way. Because say you had like $1 million movie, you kind of gotta get the permits to do that. Because otherwise you get shut down. You're gonna lose thousands and thousands of dollars just for getting shut down in one day. But say you're just filming something like I filmed Tomboys in the library. It was literally me, my DP Grant, and the two actors. Oh, and Owen, our sound recordist. And it was just us in the library filming that scene, which was so fun. And I was so scared. So that was me like pushing my own personal boundary of doing that. But I was so happy that I did because I think it looks beautiful. I think it came out great. And like we saved so much time and energy like doing it there instead of like going and doing it somewhere else. So I think, be courageous with it. Like, why not? And push your own limitations here and there, even if you're not very comfortable doing so. I think it's important too that when you're making a student film, you're gonna have a lot of friends and or people just like working on it likely for free. So I think it's important to kind of create a good environment for those around you. Like I was saying about food, like I think you need to remember that if people are volunteering their time to you, like you need to be respectful of that and you need to allow them to either learn from the experience or have a good time from the experience or enjoy what they're working on. Because if you tell a story that resonates with you, like likely there will be people out there who it resonates with as well. Like for Tomboys, we made posters and put them around the Emerson campus, and it said like, "Are you tired of seeing sad gay media?" I don't think I said shit because I don't think that would have been allowed, but I would have said that. Like, and I said like, "Oh, work on our happy show. Like, come work on this." Like, because I knew that I had talked to some of my queer friends, and they felt the same way I do, where you're kind of tired of seeing the sad stuff. You want to work on the happy stuff. So I had tons of people come out because of that poster because they were like, "Yeah, like I agree. Like that resonates with me." And I was like, "That was so incredible to feel that way in the first place. That like your story would resonate with people, but also like." They were so impassioned to work on it, and I felt like that was so enriching for me and hopefully for them that they were able to work on it and they gave their time to me because they cared about the project. And I feel like that makes it so much better. And I really appreciated that. And then at the end of the day, just remember you're having fun with it. Don't get down on yourself if you have like not a lot of budget or resources. Like, whenever I feel like whenever I watch a film, like, especially student films, like, I don't look for like high production value. I don't look for like the money that was thrown on screen. I don't look for that one song that they paid thousands of dollars to have it be in there. Like, I don't care about that. Like, I only look for the story, and like I enjoy watching the vision unfold that like the filmmakers and the cast and crew, everyone that they all put into it. I That's what I look for and that's what I enjoy. And I feel like that's also like all that's what a filmmaker's potential is. It's not like how much money they have. It's like what can they do with a camera and people, you know? And I feel like even the lowest budget things, like it's amazing seeing what people can do. And I think that shows your creativity and ingenuity even more. Money's the bonus, but it is not all you need.
So anyway, I hope some of this was helpful to people out there that are trying to make a short film, who are currently in film school, maybe like just out of film school, who are struggling with getting a budget, getting a low budget, knowing how much you should get for your movie. I'm currently in that process again. We're making a new short. I don't know if you've listened to the last couple episodes, but we're making a short called The Citrus Sunken Sunshine, and it's the first short I'm shooting as a grad student. So I'm learning a lot of the new LMU rules and kind of how to do the whole fucking filmmaking thing out in LA versus Boston. So it's kind of a nice refresher for me to go through anyway. But I hope some of this was helpful for you. If you're trying to make a movie, good luck to you. I want to see it, not before film festival. And I swear to God, if I watch your movie and Godzilla's in it, I'm going to be fucking furious. It better be the best goddamn story of all time. Anyway, I will see you in 2 weeks for another episode of Direct and Development. If you just miss me that much and you can't wait 2 weeks, one, what the fuck is wrong with you? But two, I do have another podcast with my dear friend, Nicholas Warner, called I Can't Believe This Got Greenlit. New episodes every other week, just like this show. So you can go listen to me there. Check out Quaywood Productions on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, not Twitter, because fuck Twitter. But we're on everything, so go check us out. And I will see you down the road. I will see you on the set of Avengers 9. Okay, goodbye.
This has been a Quaywood audio production.